I wonder while you were there, did you run into like a lot of injured people that needed medical attention?
Um, Most of people at the time of bombing, at the shooting day, there was no injured. We just finish you. They have to kill you. But when they were bombing, when they came into the city of Axum, when they were bombing the city,
Mhm.
um, there were so many injured people. Yes, there were many injured people, heavily injured. Um, um, you know, their legs, their arms, and kind of stuff. Um, but I didn't participate in a taken to the hospitals and kind of stuff. But I've seen them. I've seen them running around by people carrying them to their houses and then trying to find who was working in the hospitals and trying to help them get a medicine by running into pharmacies and kind of stuff. There was nothing else they could do. It was just you take them to your house if they're your family members or somebody you know, and trying to help them in the house by going back to the I don't know what 100 years back, what we used they used to do a long time ago.
It's because there was no ambulance, right? There was no ambulance. You have to just use people have to carry the wound, right? The wounded or the injured. They have to carry them. That's it. That's the only thing they could do. There was no
That's it.
cars, no bajaj, no anything.
If especially the Eritrean forces, if they see any kind of car, they will stop you and take it. They will be very happy the fact that they find a car running with a key, because they were breaking the hoods and then somehow start the car. That's what they were doing. So if they find a running car, they will be very happy. No one cannot use the cars. And then whatever cars there were, um, pretty much most of them were taken. They were taken for this woman. I found her on November 29th, but they got into action prior to 2 weeks of that. So everything pretty much like business, cars, bank, hospital, universities. That's what they were doing. They were just getting in, taking all the stuff, taking all jewelries and boutique clothing, shoes, shops. That's what they were doing. So this is pretty much like when the Axum people, particularly like I was in the city of Axum, they were tired, sad, hopeless, helpless. What they were felt. That's what the people's feeling were at that point. You just after all, when you hear a gunshot or a blast, something, it's it's not it's not something new. You just ignore it and keep walking if you're outside. So for almost like 2 weeks, like over 2 weeks, that has been happening like throughout the city, killing, bombing, pretty much. So cars were taken, shops were broken into, hospitals were medicine taken and destroyed. So there was pretty much nothing they can do. They can't use their cars. They can't do anything. You have to carry them and then take them to your house or to somewhere. That's it, or bury them. That's what it was pretty much.
Wow, that's very. It's just I cannot even imagine how painful that is. You know, you're telling the wounded, the injured to pretty much either die, with pain because there are no doctors. Even like even someone who like able to carry them to the hospital, like you said, there was no enough medicine or like not enough doctors to treat those patients. I cannot even imagine, how many that were like that. Do you remember, like, I mean, I know it's hard to count, but like in your estimation, how many people do you think like you saw like literally injured or like yeah, injured by like bombing and shelling, or like on the streets when you were like walking?
Um, it's hard to tell. I don't know, man. it's a very hard to give a number, but I've seen many people. I've seen many people, dead bodies and injured people, and also what they used to do is like when it was dark and the anybody who was shot and killed, if they know who he is, when it's dark, they used to grab the body, take it to the place they will. If they're in their house, they will take it to their house, and if not, they will take it to whomever they know that person is or his family is. And wounded people, pretty much the same thing. They were grabbing the person, take them to a village, like the Axum area. That's what they were doing, and particularly like one of the neighbor, he was telling me about his brother, and his brother was heavily hit. He was injured, and he told me that he took him to the village, and he's getting treatment for his wound in the village, like an old way of treating a person, not like with the doctors or nurses. So that's what everybody was pretty much doing at that point. So before 29th, 28th of November, on those two particular days, you were not able to pick any, to grab anybody or to bury a person, or just, the body was just on the street. So those were one of the problems. So it's so hard to walking by the street. You might see something, but it's all over. I haven't walked all over the streets, but after all, what we picked and what other people were picked the body on St. Mary Day, when the federal police came in to Axum, they shot a video for the news. We told them to pick the body, like what I said last week. We were able to see and to hear where the major shoot that took place, like what area. So most of the I was picking up bodies, and some other people were doing the same thing. So it was so hard to give a number, but we've seen injured people, dead people, especially young people. So I don't know if I can give you a number. I just don't know.
I mean, I know last time you said it's like hundreds that you saw, So, I mean, it's just to give an idea of, just to give an idea.
Those were the people who got shot on November 28th and 29th.
Exactly.
It could be from 300 to 400.
Yes.
Based on how we were picking up the bodies. Yeah, we were carrying on a gari and then just take them to the church and bury them. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, this is just such horrific.
It was
such horrific events, and it's very dark. It sounds like you are describing like a horror movie, but this is actually real. This actually happened in Axum, and I wonder if people were even allowed to mourn, because I remember last time you said they will kill civilians, and they will say do not touch the body, and like I wonder, like, were people able to mourn, because like if there's a brother who died or mother who died who got shot, were they able to even mourn? Were they even allowed to do that?
Well, after they killed the people, dead bodies were laid down on the streets. We were not able to pick it up, but until I get out of there, they were still people were still haven't heard their sons and daughters and their fathers and uncles have been shot, and it's already been buried. They haven't heard yet. There's so many IDs we left in the church. It's just, I don't know. So far, nothing has been changed so far. I talked to someone who came to Mekale like about 4 days ago, and he told me it's just exactly like how I left it. So I don't know if mourning is like it's when you have a peaceful atmosphere, and then I can come to your house and explain my condolences to whomever you lost, what kind of stuff. But no one was getting out of their house. You didn't have the freedom to go from place to place and to explain your sorrow for anybody that has been lost. So everybody was just in their house. Of course, within your house, you will be crying, you will be sad and mourning. But yeah, of course, I've heard so many stories that if they see you complaining, if they see you crying and stuff, they were replying, "Shut up! You deserve this. You we've been we've been shut off for 20 plus years, and this is your turn." They were telling them that for the people who were mourning and who were grieving. You know, I've heard that. So that means probably that's you people were not able to mourn. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And one thing I forgot is like we've heard hyenas sound in the city tremendously every night. It was crazy. If it is past 9:30, 10 p.m., all over the mountains, you can hear the hyenas coming in by making their noise. And the entire city was so sad, so amazed. And there was even, I forgot to tell you, um, he's a guy who works in a gari. They recognize his face. He was eaten by hyena. His body was eaten after he was shot and dead. The
Oh,
area is called Zero. Zero. It's so I've been telling you the story from the high school area and all the way to Seattle, Namikiel, and the downtown sides.
yes.
And then there is another area called Tel'a. The Tel'a it's another story also. I don't know if I would get in touch and I will be able to talk to. Oh, there is one of my friend. He lives there. He was observing everything what was happening, but that was a different story. Over there, they was just. I'm sorry if you have any family from that part, but I've heard there was shooting. He told me there was just shooting to houses. There was a particular place they were attacking also. That was a different story. So this guy, his body was for 2 days on the street, and it's called that particular location is called Zero. So when you take taxi, the bajaj, you would say, "Take me to Zero or past Zero or something." And they found his legs, his arms, and his head apart on the area. And then people were able to recognize him, and they said he's from Gobadura. Gobadura is the inside of to the Shura side. It's a big mountain. It's from that area. They said he's from that area, and they collected his body and put it in a bag, and they buried him. And it was amazing. It was just so hyena smell dead bodies, and it was all over the city. After 9:30, 10 p.m., you will hear the hyenas just grinding, just coming into the city. So I forgot to tell you guys that also happened. I don't know how many people, how many bodies that has been eaten by hyena, but my own experiences in that Zero area, there was a young man who works gari. He works a gari. He was shot and dead on the street, and his body was eaten by hyena. So that I forgot last week to tell you guys.
That's, oh my God, I can't even. I'm just trying to process what you said. It's just such a horrific way of dying. It's just such a horrific way of dying. It's just a young man. I'm sure he's probably like a young, right, in his 20 or maybe maybe under.
Yeah, pretty much between 20 and 30, I would say. They told me he's young. We know him. They said we know him. He's in Gobadra. He's what the Gobadra. That's what they call him. The area where he come from it's Axum, and it's surrounding towns.
Hmm.
So he's from Gobadra. One of my I've heard this story dead bodies has been eaten by hyena, but by dogs. But my own experience was this guy that has been picked his body from the zero area in Tala area. So it's just a lot happened, man. A lot happened. And the sad thing, the very sad thing is still no change. Still there is no freedom, no electricity, no communication. It's just people are beyond Meghalaya city. People are going through the same thing how I left them almost for 3 months now.
Wow, wow, wow. This is just as unimaginable. It's an unimaginable, just horrific way of dying. And like, I mean, it's just if people are not able to go outside because they're afraid for their lives that they will get shot. And it's just, I mean, this is like, you know, you cannot even wish this for your worst enemy. No, you cannot even wish this to your worst enemy to kill, shoot them, let them lie on the street, and then let them be eaten by hyena or hyenas.
So crazy, so crazy.
Wow. So I wonder, like, you know, if you guys heard other horrible stories, horrifying story like that while you were in Axum, like near you, like if there were like it sounds like there were, like you said, I mean, if you go beyond Axum, a lot of atrocities were committed.